select that role. So FLNBN00 is the role. To view the company code details, so click on this company code. Postings will be done via subledger. That is, you have to use either the customer or a vendor to make any postings. To make any postings, you cannot make directly posting to a recon account. So if in an interview if they'll ask, can you make any postings to directly to a recon account, you should say no, because for recon account the postings would happen based on the subledger postings. That is, if you are if that recon account is a vendor recon account, then we have to post the invoices using the subledger posting. That is, we either just use FB60 or FB60 or F-43 transaction code to post the invoices, and based on that invoice posted, this recon account will get updated at the backend. So this recon is act as a integration between act as a link between your subledger postings and your GL postings. So based on this recon account, your GL as well as your subledger is nothing but your individual vendor invoices, vendor IDs. That is, for each individual vendors, questions before we move further. And so now what we'll try to do is that we'll try to make a payment for this vendor. So whatever they do not to see all the vendor line items, the transaction code is FBL1N. So we have seen that transaction code. So if you go back to here, so FBL1N, if you click on this open items, it will show all the individual invoices which are open, that is, which are not yet paid. So what we'll do is that we'll try to make a payment for this vendor, and then we see how this once we execute what items which will show when we execute this transaction code FBL1N. So FBL1N is nothing but a vendor item display. So we'll try to, what we'll do now, we'll try to make a payment for this invoice which you have just posted now. To make any manual payments to the vendor, the transaction code is F-53. So it says post outgoing payments. So select this document date. So we'll select today's date as the document date. By default, for vendor payments, the document type would be KZ. So we'll not disturb that. Bank account data. So here we specify from which GL that you want to make a payment to that vendor. So select the GL account. So since we have not created the bank, we'll try to use the cash in hand account. The amount is 1000. So let's enter that 1000 also. It gives a message saying that in company code T01 the number range 15 is missing. So we'll see what is 15 and then I will try to maintain it. Again the same transaction code OBA7. So vendor payment is KZ. So select on so click on the details icon. You can see the number range is 15. Click on this number range information. Enter your company code. Click on display interval. So you can see 15 is not maintained. So right now I will maintain it. So click on this plus symbol. Enter 15 here. 9999 576. That's just 6000 to 6999. Just click on save and just continue. Where's the payments? Press enter now. So now we have maintained that number in, so that error is not coming. So it's here in this account field. We have to enter for which vendor you want to make the payment. So select this icon, enter your company code, press enter. So since we have posted invoices for the first vendor, we'll try to select that vendor. Again press enter. It gives a message saying that entry T001 is missing in T043G table. So we'll see what this table is. The table is, to view the table, the transaction code is SC16N. SC16N T043G. So this is related to tolerance group for customers and vendors. So in our configuration, we have not defined tolerances for customers and vendors. We only defined it for GL. So right now, that's the error message the system is giving. So if I press enter, it says entry T001, that is my company code, is not maintained as T043G table. So when I go to T043G, it says tolerance group for customers and vendors. So we'll see whether that tolerance is maintained or not. If not, then we'll try to maintain that setting. The path is again SPRO ING financial accounting, accounts receivable, accounts payable, business transactions, outgoing payments, manual outgoing payments, define tolerance for vendors. Define tolerance for vendors. So this is the same table T043G. So click on new entries, give your company code T001. Keep that keep that tolerance group as blank. Otherwise, if you create a group, then you have to assign that group to all the vendor masters, that is to all the BP business partners. You have to assign it. If you maintain blank, then blank is applicable for all the vendors. So either you create like group and then you assign that tolerance group to the vendor master data, that is the business partner, or else keep it as blank, then that blank is applicable to all the vendors. So just try saving it at tolerance for GL accounts, tolerance group for vendors. We'll see the settings later. Just we'll park this one. We'll try to post some invoices, and later we'll see the settings also. I mean, what's the importance of this tolerance groups? So right now I maintained it. Go back here. Once I maintain it, and when I press enter, you can see this. It's allowing me to move further. So you can see. So we have a payment of 1000. At the bottom, you can see they have entered 1000. And again, we only have invoice for 1000. So against 1000, I can able to knock off the whole amount, and therefore the non-assigned amount is shown as 0. So just click on simulate, because here at the bottom it will always be 0. The non-assigned should be always 0. The amount entered is nothing but the amount that I've entered on the screen in the F-53,000. So against this 1000 is assigned to this open invoice. So we have one open invoice of 1000. So that amount entered is assigned to that invoice, and therefore the non-assigned is 0. So always if it is a difference, then it will show that amount. So in this case it is already matched, so therefore the amount is 0. Just click on this simulate. Click on simulate. This is the entry, that is now we are making a payment, so cash is going out, therefore we are crediting this GL account, and we are debiting this vendor 25 posting is debit. So the moment I save it, it says document 6000 has been posted. What I will do is I will go back again to vendor item display, that is this is the screen, that is FBL money. So the moment when I press now and I click on execute now, it says no item selected. It means that what are the open invoices are there that has been paid. So in order to see that, you have to click on this cleared items. When I put this icon on this, when I select this cleared items and when I click on execute, you will see that both the items are green. Initially when it was open, the status was in red, but when I try to run it on the cleared items, it shows the status as green, and you can see that against this 1000 it's showing a clearing document. So clearing document means that this invoice, whatever is there, that has been paid. And how to know that? So again you can see there's another document of 6000 with the KZ. So it means that this invoice was paid using document type 6000. So this is how you have to understand, that is this KR document. Okay, if I open this document, you can see this is a clearing. So clearing document is nothing but how this invoice was cleared or how this payment was done. So it was done, the payment was done using document 6000, and whenever the payment happens on the vendor line, you can see if I double click on this vendor invoice, the first line, it will have the clearing. So this is the document through which the clearing has happened, that is this is the document through which the payment has been done, and therefore it's showing this clearing documents 1000, and this is the document number. So it has posted the document and also cleared it. That is, we have an invoice that was posted for 1000, and this is, and we did a payment using document 6000. This is the 6000 document, and the system has cleared those open item. So now therefore it's showing green. So if it is, and again one more thing, whenever invoice gets paid, this is how you have just from, if you want to know the document number, you will just come to that line, double click on that invoice, and then from whatever the document number you see here, so you will understand that based on this document, clearing document, this invoice was cleared. That is, the document number 1 was paid using document number 6000. So this is how you have to understand. And when it was paid on 10/11. So this is how you have to understand. That is, so if you want to know the open items, I will click on open items. If you want to see what items have been paid, I will select this cleared items. It will show only those items which has been paid or cleared. So that is, so if you select all, it will show both open as well as cleared items. So if I click on now execute, since we don't have any open invoices, it's showing both, only the cleared ones. Any questions on this one, on this how to execute this this transaction code? I will share the path, but remember FBLN1 is the transaction code to view the individual customer line items. So we have three options: open, cleared, and all. So if you select all, it will show both open and cleared. But if you select only open, it will again show only the invoices which are open, which has not been paid. So this is how you'll be tracking all individual invoices. So if any vendor asks us, if why this invoice has not been paid, in that case we'll select only the open items. If any query comes on cleared items, then we'll select only cleared items, and we'll analyze that issue. And again, since this is a subledger, since we did the payment, the same entry will also get updated at the GL level. That is, if I go again to FS10N and execute it, you can see there was a debit. Credit was when we posted the invoice. Debit is when we made the payment. So 1000 plus and 1000 minus, the balance is 0. So at the vendor, at the individual vendor level also, the balance is 0. If I go to FBL1N, when I click on open items, it shows 0. That is, whatever the invoice was paid. Okay, let me put this way. So you can see the balance is 0. Similarly, at the GL level also, debit is 1000 and credit is 1000. So balance is also 0. So at the back end, the system is updating the main GL, that is the recon account, automatically based on the postings whatever doing to the respective customers or vendors, and that postings are happening based on the recon account which are maintained in the vendor master data or the business or the BP master data. Yeah. Any questions before we move further? Baniman, are you able to follow?
Sir, while posting the payment, initially you got that interval to be defined as 15, right? So without defining, how did we know it is 15, sir? How the system is reflecting it as 15? The first screen.
Okay, I'll just share. I'll send you. So if I go back to payment, so if the transaction code for payment was F-53. So here you can see for a case that is the document type. So what I did, I went to OBS7. OBS7 is the transaction code to see the document types. Yes. So KZ. So what I did, I selected KZ. When I select this KZ and click on details, it shows us the numbering is 15. So what I did is I clicked on this numbering information.
Yes,
Let me show
I got
you.
it.
From there,
I understood, sir.
so always remember, the numbering is always determined based on this document type. So when I tried to post KR, that numbering was maintained. So therefore, we didn't get an error. But when we tried to make a payment for using KZ, that numbering information not there. So when we maintained, the system allowed to move further. So KZ, it starts with 6,000. So here you can see that number is KZ, and for KR it starts with 1.
Got it, sir.
Yeah. So just remember that this is how you will be posting that individual invoices, and based on the recon account, it will keep on updating and the payments. I mean the respective the balances at the GLN. So and the transaction code to view the vendor line items is FBL1N. We have 3 options: open, clear, and all. So based on your requirement, we'll see. I mean, we'll use these options. In this case, what we did is we have done this part. I mean, we posted an invoice and we did the whole payment. But in the second case, what we'll do that we will post an invoice for 1,000 and we'll do only the partial payment. So we'll see how to do the partial payments and what is residual payments. So we have 2 concepts called as residual and partial. So we'll see both now. In the first scenario was that the invoice was 1,000 and I did a payment for the whole amount. So that is the usual way. But sometimes the vendors does the payment in partial. So we'll see if we make any partial payments, how does that vendor line display look like. So what I'll do is I will post. I have shown you FB60. This is the usual way process we post the invoice. But if you don't want to use the screen, there's another screen F-43 also. You can use either of the screens. So I mean the end result will be the same, but you can use this screen also. Enter vendor invoice either to post. But in most of the business cases, they use only FB60. But you also can use this one also. I mean it will have the same fields. So document date is nothing but again the date which is mentioned on your invoice copy. So that date is called as document date. So you can select any date. I'll say that 2nd of November I've taken it. Again, the document type will be defaulted based on the default values which are defined. Company code is T001, and based on this company code, this currency is coming. Just 31 is, if you select posting key 31 is vendor credit. So if I go further down, you can see here vendor. This is C is for vendor, and this whether it's debit or credit. So this is for credit. So I will be selecting credit. So remember, 31 posting key is always vendor credit. Just select the vendor ID. So I will select the bottom ones, XYZ. Press enter. Give that amount, vendor invoice amount. Give any text if you want. Again, so we have already credited the vendor. So now we have to debit it. So posting key 40 is for GL and debit. So you can see this debit entry. If you have confusion, I mean if you have difficulty in knowing what would be debited or what would be credited, then you can use the transaction code FB60, because in FB60, if you open FB60, you will have this indicator FB60. You will have this indicator. You can use this if you're not comfortable with the posting keys. You can always use AB60. You'll have this debit and credit indicator, and based on that you can use it. But if you want to use the posting key options, then you can always select. You can always select from this drop-down list the appropriate ones. So since I know it is since already credited the vendor, so therefore I'm selected 40. 40 is for GL debit. I will select any of this expense accounts. So I'll just press enter. So I'll set rent account. Give that amount. Give the cost center. So since this is an again primary cost element, then we have to give the cost center. So I will select any of these cost centers and I will try to post them. Press enter. Click on simulate, document, simulate, and just save. It says document 2 was posted. So this is how the business will be posting the invoices. Either mostly they'll use AB60, but we also can use F-43 also. So now what will happen again, we'll see the balance. I'll just refresh this one. Click on execute. Now you can see this balance has increased. So initially it was initially if I double click on this credit, it will show the breakup. That is, we have two invoices, 5,000 and 1,000. So that is so when we total it's coming to 6,000. So 200, 500 is the recon account which is maintained for all my for both the vendors. We have maintained the same recon account. So you can see it has updated the recon account, that is the Sunday creditors account, automatically. And if I go back to FBL1N, select the vendor, press enter. So if I click on execute, you can see this I open item. So since this invoice is not paid, so it's showing as open. You can see it as open with a red with a glow sign of red. So red means always open. If you double click on it, it will show you the whole invoice, that is against which invoice it has been posted. For what expense it was posted, you can validate it. And if you want to make a payment, so what I will do is I will make a partial payment, that is of this invoice was of 5,000, I will do a payment for only 3,000. So we'll see after making a partial payment how does that invoice look like. If I execute this vendor line, what would happen? Again the same transaction code, F-53 is to make the payment. F-53, press enter. I'll give date as 2nd of November. So I'm doing a partial payment. Again, so here in this account I'll specify against which vendor I want to apply this 3,000 payment. So this account stands for vendor. So I will click on this icon, drop down list, press enter. So since I posted the invoice for the second vendor, I will select this line and I click on process open items. So you can see here, I have entered amount as 3,000. It says, and we have an open invoice of 5,000. It says non-assigned is 2,000. So here in the initial case it was 0, but now the system says that not assigned amount is 2,000. So standard means both the amount and the invoice amount should match. Since there's a mismatch, what we'll do, I will select this partial payment icon, the second tab, the partial payment, and just double click on this partial amount field. By default it will be 5,000. Just double click on this. The amount will change to 3,000. Or if you don't want to do double click, enter the amount manually, 3,000. Either way it would work. Just press enter. And now you see the not assigned has been set again to 0. So if there is any balance, it will not allow us to save. So always ensure that not assigned amount is always set to 0. So what I'm telling system is that I'm doing a partial payment, that is of this 5,000 only, and we are making a payment of 3,000. Just click on this document overview, click on document and do simulate. So same entry, that is cash is going out and the vendor is getting debited. That is, we are doing a short payment, we are doing a partial payment. And just click on save. So it says again a document has been posted. Now what I will do, I will just go back again to this vendor item display and again click on open items. So now we see the balance has been reduced. That is, we have a credit of, initially we posted an invoice of 5,000 and then later we did a payment of 3,000 and now the balance is shown as 2,000. So in case of partial payment, remember both the invoice and the part payment is shown as the open item. So they will ask an interview question, what would happen if you do a partial payment? So then you should tell that if you do a partial payment, both the invoice and the payment will be shown as open. Now you can see both are in red, but the balance is reduced. That is, we posted an invoice of 5,000 and we did a payment of 3. So therefore the balance is 2,000. And so in case of partial payment, both the invoice and the part payment, what are the part payment we did, will be shown as an open item. So if I go and if I go back, if I click on clear, there will be nothing. See, no item selected. If I click on all, you can always see the items. So just remember, if you do any partial payments, both the invoice and the part payment will be shown as open. In the first scenario, when I did the payment, the full payment, there was nothing on open item and everything was cleared. But when I do a partial payment, both the invoice and the partial payment will be shown as open. So now what I'll do, I'll make another payment of 2,000 and then we'll see how does this look like. So it's again the same transaction code F-53. I'll use the same date. $1,000 as my GL. That is how I'm getting. Why I'm using 1,000, because if I go here, press enter, I want to make a payment through this cash GL account. So since I've not created bank GL accounts, I'm using this cash in hand. So I'm selecting cash in hand GL. I'm using that. So initially I paid 3,000 and now I'm making another balance payment of 2,000. To which vendor? I'm doing the payment for the second vendor. Just press enter. Now you see, the moment I pressed when I entered it, for the balance amount, it has already picked up, system already picked up and showing a non-assigned value of 0. So you don't have to do anything, just click on this simulate and on this document overview, click on simulate. That is again the same entry, cash is going out and the vendor is getting debited. Just click on post and now we'll see the balance now again. See, it has cleared the entire value, so therefore nothing is coming on open items. If I click on clear, I think, did I select the correct vendor? Let's see. Yeah, I've selected the correct vendor. So when I select open items, nothing comes up. But if I select clear, it shows 3 line items. It shows that 5,000 was invoice, and you can see KZ is nothing but payment. So we did a partial payment of 3,000 and later we did one more payment of 2,000 and the whole invoice, that is, it was cleared using 6,002. If I go here, if I double click on this invoice, you can see the clearing document as 6,002. So it means that we did a payment on 10th of November and this invoice, this document number 2 invoice was cleared using 6,002 document number. If I go back here, you will see for the three line items, the clearing document is 6,000. That is 5,000 credit, again 2 payments of 3,005, 2,000, which totals to 5,000. So document number 2 was cleared using document number 6,002. So this is how you have to understand it. So clearing document is nothing but how that document was cleared. How that payment was done. So using clearing document 6,002, that document is cleared. But right now we have only few invoices, we are able to track it. But in production there will be multiple invoices. So you have to come to that KR invoice, double click on it, and from here you will be able to find the clearing document. And one more thing, so when we did the GL part, we used to reverse using transaction code FB08 for the documents. But if document is cleared, we'll not be able to reverse using FB08. I mean, for example, any questions on this one before we move further?
Sir, for the clearing document, 6,002, it's all 6,002.
Yes,
Like-
because it means that, see, this invoice was of 5,000. So we did a part payment of 3,000, 2,000. So, and using this 6,002, the whole invoice was cleared. So if you see 6,002 is the breakup of 3,000 and 2,000. So if I double click on 6,000 also, it will show this 6,002. So it means that this invoice 5,000 was paid using these two document numbers, 6,000 and 6,002. So when we do clearing, it is gonna show the three. Yeah.
Sir, for the 3,000 should be 6,001 only, no?
No, that is the partial payment, right? So if it means, I mean, we have to understand the clearing part. See, this is the payment, but at the same time, the system will also clear it. I mean, so if we are using the 6,002, okay, what I will do?
Understood. Because like when it was the 6,002 only, the document fully it got cleared.
Yes. So when we did only 6,001, it was only partial, and both were open. So in order to do the whole clearing, so with this document number, you can understand what will happen. So if you want to do some further analysis, I mean, if you want to understand how this document was paid, we'll always do we'll always check based on this clearing. So now you'll understand this. This 5,000 was paid using 3,000 and 2,000, and how I am able to understand based on this clearing document. So this is how you have to understand it. Clearing document is more important. So whenever, if this would come only when the whole invoice is cleared. If you do multiple partial payments, it will not show a clearing document. When we do the entire clearing, then only I mean the entire payment, then only this clearing document will come. So this is one more thing. And if you want to reverse, I mean, I told you that the transaction code is FB08. But if the document is cleared, we'll not be able to reverse directly using FB08. For example, if now I want to reverse this document number 2. So if I go to FB08, because usually in production, when you try to do some analysis, this is how the errors comes. For example, if I go to FB08, and if I want to reverse this document, I'll give this date. See, it says document only includes cleared items. So always remember, if you want to reverse any document, if it is open, it will reverse it. But if it has been cleared, that is how I know it is cleared. You can see it has a clearing document number. So if it is cleared, we will not be able to directly reverse it. There is another transaction code. We have to use that, and then only we'll be able to reverse it. Usually they will ask you in interview also how we'll reverse it. So if the document is cleared, or if you are trying to work on any issues in the production system, if usually the business would say that I'm not able to reverse this document, and this is the error message that usually comes up. So in that case, you have to check whether that invoice has been cleared or not. So if it is cleared, where is that? Okay. If it is cleared, then we have to reverse this, and then this document will become open, and then you will be able to reverse. Then you will be able to reverse this document. So we'll see that how we can reverse that. The transaction code is FBRA, reset cleared items. So what we do is that this is used only, this FBRA is used when you want to reverse this clearing documents. So in this case, I want to reverse it. The clearing document number is 6002. What I will do is paste it here, 6002. Press enter and click on save. Okay, save now by name. I'll again go back to FBRA. 6002 is the clearing document. How I know it? If I go to FB03, if I press document number 2, this is the document number. This is the document number I want to reverse. But system says that there's a clearing document. So that's the reason I'm not able to reverse. So what I'll do first, I will copy this number, clearing document number. I'll go to transaction code FBRA, press that number. I'll enter this number details. Click on save. It's asking, it will give me a message whether you want to reset or reverse. So select always reset and reverse. Select the posting date and click on continue. See what will happen now. So I will go back again to this document. I will go back to this document, click on execute. I'll select first open item. Now again this invoice has become open. If I double click on this invoice, that clearing document information has gone. It's nowhere there. And you can now you will be able to reverse it. So if I can again copy this, if I copy this document number and if I go back to FB08, press that, give the document number as 2 and click on save. See, it was posted. So remember that if you want to reverse any document which has been cleared, you have to use transaction code FBRA. FBRA is used to reset the reversal. The moment you reset the reversal, the document will become open, and then you can use FB08 to reverse that entry. So I mean, just wanted to show that since FBRA I didn't show in the GL part, so I wanted to show how to reverse this in. I mean, the same transaction code will also work for customers, vendors, and GL. But remember, if the document is clear, then first we have to reset that clearing document, and then we have to use this transaction code FB0 to reverse it. So what we'll do that we'll stop here. I'll just try to open my client system. So we'll see the settings whatever till the general settings, that is the whole settings which we did in our system. We'll also see how that has been done in any of the client system. So let me log into my client system and then I will show that settings, because yesterday one of the person has asked me how this account groups are defined. So we'll see in my client system how that is defined. We'll stop it for here today. We'll continue from tomorrow. We'll pick up some tomorrow we'll start with the tax procedure. So let me stop here and log into my client system. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Give me a minute. Let me do some change. Yeah. So this is the SAP box. We'll try to understand the clients. I'll try to, probably this is covered, but we'll try to see. It's not, okay. So in any given client, you'll have one development system. So you can see here DE1. So this is called as development system. So whatever the configuration, whatever we do, we always do in this DE1 system. So the it might be, right now this for the client which I'm working, they have created this DE1. DE1 is nothing but a development system. So in this development system, if I click exit, let me log in again. So we'll have this development system. So you can see here there are three boxes, that is 100. Sorry, you can ignore this 100. So we have two boxes, 1, 10 and 20. So what we do is that in any given client, for whichever client you work, they will have two boxes. One is called as 10. The number would differ. Right now they're using 10, but in your case they might use 30, 40, any 3-digit character they can use it. So we'll have two clients. One is called as golden client and one is called as unit testing client. So in golden client, what to do? We do all our configurations. That is, what are the configuration I have shown you. We will do that configuration this golden client. Golden client is nothing but where you do all your configurations. And remember, in golden client, we will not do any testings. So what we do is that we'll do all our testings in another client called as 20 unit testing client. That is, in whatever the configuration you do before moving to quality, we will move that changes to another system that's called as development unit testing system, where we perform the testing, and once we are satisfied with the test result, then only we'll be moving that change to our quality system. So in any given client, you'll have these two development clients. One is called as development client, that is golden client, and one is called as unit testing client. So in unit testing client, you will move your change. You will do. I will show you a transition code how you do that change. But remember, before moving to quality, you will do your unit testing. Unit testing is nothing but we only do our testing, that you are comfortable with whatever the change you've done. You are comfortable with that. You did the testing, and once you are satisfied, you will move that change to quality. But if you have some issues, then again you will go back to 010, that is your golden client. Again you will reconfigure it. Again you will move that change to 020, your client, and then again you will retest, and once you are satisfied, you will be able to move this change. So we'll have golden client will have, so how we will log in, I will give, so in case I have to log into golden client, I will press 010. If I want to log into my development client, I will press 020. So here is this unit testing client. So based on this unit testing, I will enter and I will give my credentials and I will be logging in. So in any given client, we'll have in development you will always have two boxes. One called as golden client and another is called as unit testing client. So usually in interview also they will ask you, how do you move the changes? You should say that for my client we have two development box. One is called as development golden client, another is unit testing client. In golden client, I will do all the configuration. I will move my changes to my unit testing client, where I will do my unit testing, and once I'm comfortable with my testing, I will move that change to quality. So this is how the changes would move. If I go back here, so in development we have, again this is quality. So once I move this change to quality, I will log into quality system. I will validate my changes, and I will ask my business user to perform the testing. And once they do that, this is the production client. So P1. So in this is the place where the business user will perform the testing. And once we get the UAT, user acceptance testing, the basis team will move that changes to this client 010 client. That is your production client. So what I will do, I will log into quality and I will check. We'll see the configuration steps. This is under 1809. We are currently doing the 1909. So we wanted to see the account groups /OB D4. So they are using the chart of accounts YCOA. So they are using these account groups. So they have classified it as EP, fixed assets, income statement, liquid funds. So these are the different account groups. They are using it for their GL accounts. I can show you OBY6. Let me show you OBY6. It would be similar. So these many company codes are there in this client. They have created 122 company codes. So the important one is 1000. So you can see they have chart of accounts. They have defined the company. They have used this fiscal year invariant, field status variant, posting period variant. They also have workflow. So workflow I cannot show it because that requires technical help. But same thing, whatever we have defined, it will have the same screen. Chart of accounts, company code. This is the company. Fiscal year variant, field status variant, postings period variant, and also this one, what you call if I go to FI /n FINC_ledger. I wanted to show you this. So here also they have defined only one leading ledger, and they have defined non-leading ledgers. That these two are non-leading ledgers. 0C, the extension ledgers for their management reporting, but they have defined another non-leading ledger 02L and defined what we call extension ledgers. So and if you see the currencies, if I go back here, see they're using only two currencies. It's not that they have to use all those freely defined currency. In this case, the business uses only two currencies. One is your company code currency and this is controlling area currency. They're not even using the third currency. So it again depends on the business to business, but it's the same setting that we have. Whatever we did, you will find the same settings here. Let me see if they have defined accounting principles. Yeah, so here the LG they are using for local GAAP, and the others, they are using for different GAAP purpose. So again, the currency, if I go back here, currency conversion settings for company code, same thing. Whatever the currency we define, the same settings, whatever you can compare the settings with what we did in our IDA system, you'll find the same thing here. Apart from that, we define some more currencies here, but it will be similar. Whatever you do here, you'll find the same thing in here also. And if I go back to my BP, if I double click on this, the same roles, FLVN 00. So this is for financial accounting. If I click on company code, you'll find the same. You will come here. So you'll find the same details. Recon account. We are not yet come to the payment terms. You can see the same recon account, the same mapping which we have done it. So it again keeps on differing. Whatever we learn, you will see the same screens. Most of the configuration process same. Little bit will change, but it would be the same thing. Whatever we have learned till now. We'll see also the number range, whether they are going with whether they're maintaining it 999 or 1000. We'll see that. See here, they also maintain 999. What else was there? What else was there? First double zero. Same thing. The GL account maintenance also based on their requirement will be defining it. YB14. So same thing. Any specific thing you want to look, we can go and check it out. But whatever we learn, you always find the same value here. OBC. This is the field status group. So it's anything specific you want to check, I can show in my client system. But whatever we have learned, you will find the same screen, same value. I mean, a little bit here and there different, but whatever we are learning, you can apply the same while doing the implementation project.
If you could go back to the
which screen you want to go? Which screen you want to see?
The golden client. I just had I just wanted to have a clarification on that.
Okay, 1 minute.
The initial login screen that you have shown for golden client.
Yeah, this is the one golden client.
Yeah. So ideally, what you're saying is the golden client will only have the configurations and nothing else. It won't have any data or anything.
Yeah, it will not. I will just show you that also. So let me log in. I will show it.
So ideally, your first instance to get started would be the golden client, where you will do the actual configuration. Once you're done with the configuration, you will move that to the test or to the dev instance. You will transport those changes to the dev.
Yeah. So right now logged into 010. This is my golden client. If I go to, it should not be there, but it will. But remember, we'll not be doing testing. Even if it is there, let me show you that also. Just remember, in golden client, thumb rule, will never do testing. This client might have done it, but will never do testing in golden client. It's always done in development. There will be another box or another instance where we'll do our testing. So let me see AC Docker, whether any postings are there or not. See, only 4 postings, and these should be also not there, but probably they might done it, but we usually don't do it. So see, for the whole year they went live, only they posted 4 entries, which is also incorrect. We should not be doing it. So just remember one thing, we always do our configuration in this client, in this golden client called as 010. The name might differ, but remember, we'll always have one golden client where you do all your configurations, and in case of any change also you will do here. We will create this transport request, and again what I will do, I will move it to D020. That is, to this client will be moving it. If I go here again, if I click up, let me double click on it. So once you are done, I will right now I logged into 010. I will log into 020. So this is the place where we'll do all our unit testing. That is, before moving changes to quality, before asking user to perform unit test UAT, you will be performing your own testing here. So we also have to perform testing. That's the reason we are learning the end user part also. So here you will come, you will move your changes, and you will do your testing here. So right now logged into 20, and if I go here, right now I'm doing some testing also. I'll just show you. So this is the place. If I go to AC Docker and execute, you'll see lot many entries. So remember, so we'll always have 2 instances. One is called as golden client, another is called as unit testing client. So we'll move changes from golden to unit testing. We will perform the testing there. Once you are satisfied, then only you will move the changes. If you are not satisfied, you will go back again to your D010, your main golden client. You will reconfigure it, again move changes to 20, retest it again. If it is successful, you will move. If it is not successful, you will go back again to 010, and you will redo your, you will always keep on changing your configuration. So from the dev, it's going to go to production post approval. No, it will always remember from dev to queue, from queue to production.
Okay, so you have golden instance, then you have dev, you have queue and quality instance, and then the production.
Yes. Always remember, we'll always have only one production instance. We'll not have multiple production instance. They might ask you to confuse in interview how many production systems you will have. You should always have we'll have only one production system, because you cannot have multiple production systems. You might have multiple quality system, multiple development systems, but always production system will be always one.
So what
Just
happens in
give
the quality queue instance? I mean, what do you do in queue instance?
quality system. We will ask the business users to test it because I cannot move my change without getting the UAT, that is user acceptance testing.
Yeah.
What we do is that we will request we'll move our change as you did the testing in unit testing in your dev 020. We will move that change to queue. We will ask the user to perform the UAT testing because we don't want to have issues in production after moving the change. So we will take the confirmation from the business users. We'll request them to perform the UAT. They will do the UAT. They will provide the sign off, and once we get that sign off, the basis will move the change from queue to production. So that is the process.
So as a consultant, you will not do any testing in queue.
Queue, you will be assisting it, or you can do it, but queue is mainly for business user testing. That is, the business user have to perform because they have requested the change. They have to feel comfortable that whatever we did, they are satisfied with the business with the output, and they are giving a green signal to move that change. Because if the change moves to production and they find some issues, then they will ask us again. So there's always that we will take a confirmation from them. They will do the testing, they will provide the UAT, and then we move. And this remains common across any of the systems, that we might be assisting them in doing the testing, but we need an UAT sign off from them always. And you can have multiple quality system also. One you can use for your UAT testing, one you can use for training, that is to train your business users. You might use one in more instance. So just remember, you can have multiple dev systems, multiple quality systems, but we will have only one and only one production system then. So
which is the production system, sir?
this is PE1. And these names can differ. It's not that you always, I mean, in this client they're using DE1, P1, QE1. It might differ in some other system. So they might put QAS, QA1, QA2, QA3. The nomenclature might differ, but just remember the process. That is, we'll have one development client, one golden client, one development testing client, one QA. I mean, more than one QA is also possible. But remember and only one production system. So what we do is that I will do my changes here. I will move it to D020. Again, I'll do the testing. Once I'm comfortable, I'll move to queue. Up till queue, you can move it on your own. What would happen the moment you release the UTR, it will automatically move to QE system, that is to your quality system, and later from Q to P, we will be requesting the basis team to move the changes. So this is how when the changes move. It's always dev, Q, and production. It never moves from dev to P. It's always from dev, Q, and P. So just wanted to show this is how the real system looks like. I'll also show you how you move changes. Tomorrow, I'm currently working on one change. Once that is ready, I will show how we move our changes from within the dev system. That is from golden client to your unit testing client. So there is one transaction code, SCC1. Remember, in interview also they will ask you how do you move. So you should say the SCC1, the transaction code. And with that, I'll show you how we move it. Once my development is ready, I will show you that changes. But just have a look. This is how the system would look like when you start working for any client. You will have multiple systems, but usually this is the process. You will have dev, you have quality, and you have production.
And the refresh from production to test, from production to queue happens. It's only the refresh from production to queue, not from production to other instance.
No, we always do. We always take production instance to refresh the other system. That is quality system. Again, it depends how often they will do. How often they do the refresh. It's not a monthly or quarterly. It's once in a 6 months or once in a year. So they do the refresh. And dev system, they never refresh it. So always they refresh only the queues, the quality system, but they don't refresh the devs. The dev. because there's no data. So usually we don't refresh the golden client.
Yeah. So golden is never refreshed, test is never refreshed, but it's always the queue that gets refreshed. Yeah.
Test also we can refresh. I mean, if you want to get data, we can get data. I mean, if we don't have test data, right? So it's again a business decision whether they want to refresh or not. But usually queue is the regular one which you get refreshed. And apart from this, you might also have one sandbox. So right now, some companies, what they do is that they don't want to touch your your golden client. They will ask us to do the changes in sandbox. So once you are comfortable in sandbox, then we come and do the same thing in my golden client. So there's another. I mean, again it might differ. So sandbox is again system. A sandbox is nothing but where you play around. You can do whatever you want. Once you are once requirement comes, instead of disturbing my golden client, what I will do the prototyping in sandbox client. Sandbox client is nothing but again one 3-digit client instance where you log in. You can just play around. Once you are comfortable with the output, you will redo the same thing in development, and that is in your golden client, and then you again move the changes. So some clients may also have sandbox. Again, it differs from business to business. It's not that every client will have sandbox, because again this involves a licensing cost where they have to make money to SAP. So it's again a business decision. In this case, they're not using sandbox, but in my previous company, they also had one box called a sandbox where you prototype it and before touching your golden clients. So any further questions on how the changes? I will also show one change, how I create the TR and how I move it once that is ready. But in your back of mind, just remember we'll have minimum of 3 systems: dev, queue, and production.
Yeah.
And dev, so we'll have access to dev, queue, and production. In dev, we do all our changes. Queue we will test. I mean, we or business will test, and after testing, we move to production.
Sir.
Yes. Yeah.
Somebody what is meant by refresh, sir? We do refresh of
refresh. And a refresh is nothing but what data you have production. We will be sending the data to queue.
Okay, right.
And because in quality also you have to do testing, right? So everything cannot be replicated. So what we do is that to enable business testing or some so for testing purpose, what we do is that whatever the data is in production, we will send that data to quality. Again, it's not our activity; it's taken care of basis. So that is all technical. You don't have to break our heads. That is done by the basis team. Just you have to remember this. What is the refresh? Refresh is nothing but refreshing the data. I mean, whatever the data is in production, we're trying to put it in quality.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, is it only the data, and does it also include the configurations?
By default, see, by default, whatever the config, we always transfer the transaction data. We don't transfer the configurations. So when the refresh happens, it's only the data, because in quality, I mean, it's again it's always it's always the data. We don't transfer the config. We always transfer the data, because anyhow the data would be there, and in quality the configuration would be there, because we move it from dev to queue and queue to production. So the configuration would be there. So see, we don't touch the configuration. We'll always transfer the test data there. Sorry, the transaction data.
Okay. And in case of any new upgrades or releases happening, I mean, new features getting released, the yearly releases.
So in that case, again, it's a technical thing which is taken care by basis or the technical team. As a functional consultant, we are always involved in testing, but we are nowhere responsible for all those upgrades. Upgrades are done by the basis team. What they will do is that they will do the upgrades. They will ask us to do the testing to check the functionality. That's it.
Yeah, that's what. So we would actually be doing the testing part on the new features that's being released.
Yeah, that's it. So they will ask us to post some invoices. They will ask us to do some parents. I mean, so since we are part of finance, they will ask us to do some testing of invoices parent, and for if it is for they'll ask us to post some Miro invoice, that is create some purchase orders. For SDT, they'll ask us to create some sales orders. So they will do some cycle, the whole P2B cycle or the OTC cycle. But from technical point of view, we are nowhere responsible for that.
Okay. I'm good.
Yeah, okay, then we'll stop here. Tomorrow we'll start a new topic. I mean, in AP we'll start with taxes on sales and purchases. So today we just understood how to post an invoice, how to reverse it, and how to view those invoice. We are left with the residual clearing. So we only checked the standard payment, the partial payment, and residual. So we'll see tomorrow the residual, and we'll start with a new topic, because in your interview questions they'll ask you what is the difference between a partial and residual, and what is that. So we'll see that line tomorrow in the system, and then we will pick up a new topic, taxes on sales and purchases, and from there we'll pick it. Yeah, from there we'll start it out. Yeah. So I'm just closing the session. Yeah.
Can we have a discussion on P2P cycle, sir?
And that will take some time. So P2P will cover in FIMM integration. So we'll stop. Since we are not come till their part, we are only still now in AP module, that is accounts payable module. We'll do that FIMM integration post once we're done with the AP, AR, GL asset. We'll do with FIMM and FISD integration. So there we will see the whole OTC cycle, because we need some configuration also. Without that, we cannot do it.
Okay, sir.
We'll try to in the whole detail. I mean, we'll try to create the whole cycle. What are the settings we do? I mean, what the MM consultant do. We'll also do the same thing. We'll see the entire cycle. I mean, the whole creation of purchase order, the posting of MyGo, and how that how the goods receipt happen. We'll see the whole cycle here.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So yeah, so I'm stopping it here, and we'll continue from tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you all. Have a nice day. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye bye.